when the new government comes in, and planning for thousands of issues that right now I don't think they even understand what they might be. So it's going to be exceedingly tough. And as Sophie said, Marco Rubio was probably not prepared to be told he and Hegseth were in charge of this, but they now have the belly button being pushed saying, you've got the con on this. And it's going to be very challenging because I don't think the president had in mind what the rest of the team looked like. It appeared during that press conference that this was sort of being made up as they went along. And it takes a really tough coalition of key people to do the kind of things he thinks are going to happen in Venezuela next. So, General, you used the word difficult, challenging. Would you add dangerous to that description? Yeah, I most certainly would. And truthfully, it brought back a whole lot of scar tissue for me, having been in Iraq a couple of times, especially my last tour there was in an area that had the Beji oil refineries and some of the Kurdish oil fields. We tried to bring in oil companies to help the Iraqis figure out how to work their oil facilities better than they had been. And it was difficult because of security issues. And I kind of really, the hairs on my neck stood up when the president said, oh, we don't have to worry about boots on the ground. We can do that. And that was probably something new to the audience today, too. They probably weren't expecting the fact that we might have military forces in Venezuela. And in these kind of situations, in a country that's as big as Venezuela, with a 30 million citizen population, and with a security force between the army and the police forces measures about 300,000 in Venezuela. Yeah, this could be very tough, and there could be opportunities for some of the old officials in this regime starting an insurgency, doing things that are unexpected, even when the Americans come in to try and help fix their oil fields. I'm not sure they're going to open their welcoming arms to all those people that might be coming in from the various oil companies. Sophia, who within the White House pushed for the attack and capture of Maduro? And is this how they intended it all to go, with this big focus on benefiting from Venezuelan oil?
Look, I think something like this comes from Trump himself. We know, of course, that Marco Rubio has been supportive of this. You know, even the people on the right, the MAGA base, who have not historically been supportive of the U.S. being engaged in, in other countries, I think today they've kind of held their fire and they've praised this operation as a successful one. We saw Steve Bannon on his show today calling it a good operation. The first guest said it was a magnificent job done by the U.S. forces. But that patience, that sort of hold your fire, that may not last if we're in Venezuela for 6 months, 9 months, without a certain end date and a plan for a country that we've gotten ourselves involved with. We don't know how long that'll last from the MAGA base. And remember, it's a midterms year. We have elections coming up in 2026 where the voters will be the more extreme part of the party, the people who are paying attention more.
I am seeing something here, and I want to just get your reaction, both of you, to this, that 2 U.S. military sources are telling MS Now that Stephen Miller was key to the planning and execution of this operation. To you, General, first on that. Stephen Miller, given his position in the administration, really overseeing a lot to do with immigration and illegal immigration, prevention thereof, we should say. Does this seem appropriate? Does it seem possible, likely?
Alex, and I've heard the same thing this morning from a couple of the people I talked to, having to do, truthfully, with immigration. And not only just the immigration of stopping people from coming in, but perhaps even taking some of the Venezuelan diaspora that are in different places within our country and sending them home, because many of them want to do that. So this is, again, another opportunity for taking citizens in our country and sending them back to places where they came from.
Your reaction, Sophia, to Stephen Miller again, and one thing we were saying, as the president did say earlier, what we're getting in this report here, the operation had been in the work for months, and from the outset, apparently, Miller insisted this needed to be done, that is the quote, and was heavily involved in the process.
Look, I think it's no surprise. Stephen Miller, I would say, has been the person in the White House who is not in the cabinet, who has been most involved in just about every single foreign and domestic policy issue that there has been. If there is an issue he wants to be involved in terms of the policy planning as well as the execution, he knows that he has the full support of the president behind him. So it's no surprise to me.